Well, hello, 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 and happy New Year, second week to my Lionesses. We did our first show last week and it was unbelievable. It was phenomenal. And the year is just getting better and better because my guest today is Miss Mandy Merrifield. And if I tell you, she is one of my favorite people in the world. And I say that truthfully. And the reason is because I love people who are real. And she is absolutely positively real in who she is. And she's comfortable in her own skin. And that's like, yes, 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 yes. She has learned to validate herself. And we're going to talk about that today because Mandy has a new book. And I'm so excited about it. I'm excited about her journey. Man, a year ago, she was a first-time author, and here she is with a chapter in a book, and here she is with her own full-fledged book. And so I love that. Welcome to Unstoppable Lionesses, Mandy. And this is your second or third time, I think third time on
I
the show.
think
So,
I think
hey,
number three. I think number
yes,
three.
yes.
Yeah. And thank you so much for we're on opposite sides of
We
the globe. So this is quite late for me and it's very, very early for you.
Miss
But
Mandy's in Australia.
I
And so,
love
but there
spending
are a
time
few
with
people that I
you.
would get up in the middle of the night for to make sure I could capture this interview. And so I'm grateful to have you. Tell us about this new exciting book you
Oh
have.
gosh, well, this is my new book and it's called F the Fairy Tale, Find Your Own Magic. Now,
Mm,
it's such a strange response that I get from the book sometimes, Coilette, because a lot of people read the title and think that it is a middle finger up to the patriarchy. They think it's a man-hating diatribe. They think it's this really aggressive, defensive, independent woman kind of thing. And within the introduction, I actually um dissolve them of that notion very, very, very quickly. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we're having our combo. The book for me started really from when you and I first met. Now we met just over 6 months ago now, and I was at a time in my freelance career as a coach, really trying to work out, I knew I was in a period of change with the kind of work that I was doing and who I was working with. And just through more and more and more of these real conversations, and you and I certainly had so many of those in the time that we spent together, that it made me realize that a lot of the work that I do and a lot of the attitudes and mindset that I have and a lot of the behaviors that I observe, particularly in young to midlife women, is that we make decisions because that's what we should do. And one would think in 2025, 2026 that, all of the equality in the world and the feminism that started in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and through the flower power into the 60s and 70s, that we are well into a space where every woman can choose their own path and they're not having the expectations of should get married or should have children by now or should do this by now or should do that by now. I was still seeing it everywhere I looked. In every conversation that I had, I was still seeing it. And it's not just a social media thing. it is a centuries and centuries and centuries conditioning thing.
Generational. Generational.
Generational, centuries and centuries and centuries. And it really started me thinking, okay, how is the best way for me to have these kinds of conversations? There are a million coaches out there in the world, millions of coaches. Many, many, many of those coaches are much better at sales and social media and visibility than I am. As you said in the intro, I'm one of these really real people. I say it how it is, and I do not put fluff on it, and I don't put myself out there into the world all over Instagram and reels and all. It's just not who I am. I'm a storyteller.
Mhm.
And so the idea of the book came to mind, and I thought, where on earth do all of these shoulds come from? Where do these expectations come from? The pressures, the societal norms. And I started thinking about Snow White and Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Ariel and Cinderella and all of the princesses and the Barbie
Fairy
doll
tales.
and all of all of that kind of thing. So I just started doing a bit of research and I was like, wow, all of these centuries old tales still ring true. Still ring true. You can still go and buy the Barbie dream house. And
Yeah.
that's what little girls buy.
And that's what
That's
they get.
that's what parents buy
Yes.
their little girls.
Yes.
And so even though we are brought up to believe that we can do anything and we can achieve anything and we can have any kind of life we want, all of the quiet messages underneath are still there.
That's
So
powerful.
yeah,
It
and
really is. I mean, and I'm gonna let you continue in your flow, but I, I'm even hearing it from a different perspective because we've literally been conditioned to believe in the fairy tale, and it destroys us when the fairy tale doesn't happen. Because
absolutely,
this is our belief system. This is
that's right.
what's supposed to happen. Wow. Okay, I'm
That's
sorry. I
right.
just needed to throw that in
No,
there.
no,
Go ahead.
no. And the I saw it in myself. So I'm going to be 52 this year. I've just enrolled in my third postgraduate degree. I've been divorced for 15 years. I have got challenging relationships with my adult children. On paper, my life does not look like many of my counterparts. And I'm happy. I'm not happy with all of it. There are things that I'd prefer to tweak, of course. Um, but I'm happy in my life. I'm content
Mhm.
with my lifestyle and the work that I do and the study that
Mhm.
I achieve and the impact that I have with the people that come into my world. I'm happy with my life.
Mhm.
I don't have a partner. When I do start dating someone, and this drives me insane, people are like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing." Now, three postgraduate degrees, 10 years sober, rebuilt my life from $1.17 and nothing else. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. I can walk into any job in any industry. In fact, as a part of my transition in becoming a full-time author, I left a corporate role last year. I was unemployed for less than 24 hours before I picked up another role. And I have got all of these amazing things, but yet when I start dating someone, it's like I've hit the jackpot. And I'm like, there's the life, the fairy tale is more than just a guy. And this I'm not
Mhm.
guy bashing at all,
No, I get it.
but I've got
But
all
you're
of these
not enough in
things.
your own self, is what people are
That's
saying when they
that's
do
right.
that.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people know how to deal with me better and have better relationships with me and know what to talk about with me if I'm dating someone because it's a point of easy conversation.
Mm.
So it has been quite an interesting I guess, observation and awareness as I've been going through this process for at least the last 6 months of writing the book.
Mhm.
And I've forgotten what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's right.
Comes with
Um,
the
it,
transition too.
it comes with yes, that's another part of the transition, isn't it? When I was writing the book, I discovered very quickly that it was coming very much from my perspective, almost like the middle finger up to, I don't want to get married again and I don't want to live with
Mhm.
anybody again. And I thought, oh, woe back, Mandy,
Mhm.
because I don't believe that.
Mhm.
My true honest belief is that if you want to be married to your high school sweetheart in your hometown behind a white picket fence and 2.7 kids, it's beautiful. If you want to be double income, no kids, travel the world, beautiful. If you want to caravan life, if you want to be 52 and deciding that you're going to do your master's now because you want to be a doctor soon, go for it. Any version of what you want your life to look like, and nobody needs my permission, and they don't need your permission either,
Mhm.
is great. Any version is great and it's fine and it's okay. Just make sure it's yours, not because of somebody else's friends, family, parents, society, work,
Mhm.
expectations, shoulds, conditioning, pressures. So as I was writing the book, I was listening it back to myself and thinking, oh, this is very much coming from my perspective because what's right for my life is I don't want to get married again and I don't want to live with anybody again. I have a really happy, content life with my routine with my dog and my work and my gym and my walking and I love the cadence of my life.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean my life is right for everybody. So bringing a balanced approach to the book, and this was, I discovered it quite by accident, was that I just reached out to some people that I knew, just women. I purposely didn't approach coaches or people with a platform or people with an agenda, just people that I knew, just women that I knew, everyday women, and said, I'm writing this book. This is kind of the basis. If I send you a questionnaire, would you be willing to answer it and just give me your version of the fairy tale that you expected, or the fairy tale that you're living, or the fairy tale that you saw and ran 100 miles away from as fast as you could? And I had 8 women agree, and three of those women participated with their name and put their name to their stories, and 5 participated anonymously. And I have got the most beautiful, real life, ordinary, everyday women's stories that
Mhm.
are incredible because what they show is exactly what I wanted from
Mhm.
this book. That whatever you choose for you is fantastic. Make sure it's your choice.
Exactly.
So it was, it was just, it was such an enlightening experience for me. I have known most of these women for 15 plus years, and I didn't know half of the stuff that they
Mm.
told me.
Mm.
And I was completely just, I was humbled that they trusted me to share their stories. I was humbled that they participated in the book without any remuneration
Mm.
to them. Um, one of the I guess process structures of my book is that I donate a portion of all of my sales to the Black Dog Institute here in Australia to support
Mm.
research into anxiety and depression because it's something that's really affected my life and I want to be able to give back. So when I approached the women to participate, I said to you, look, you're not going to get royalties from the book. On the other hand, I'm not going to charge you to be a part of the book. This is kind of the payoff. And they were all very, very gracious in wanting to be something bigger, part of something bigger than themselves. And it has resulted in this piece of work that every single person who has read a part of it or read the book front to back or girlfriends who I was sending pages to edit as I was going through the process. I had one lady who bought the Kindle the day that it came out, and she messaged me Christmas Day and said, Mans, I feel heard for the first time in my life. I'm not alone. And I just,
Mm.
it was the most profound feeling to know that myself, along with the other beautiful women who participated, we've created a space where women feel safe, they feel
Mhm.
heard, they feel
Mhm.
validated. And if we go back to when you and I met 6 months ago, one of the things that we talked about back then was other women lifting other women up.
So
And when
important.
we take away the highlight reel, when we take away the filters, when we take away the 9 box Instagram, and we actually show these real stories,
Mhm.
that's exactly what it does.
It does. We as women, we transition through so many emotions.
Mm.
Um, First of all, just because we're women and our hormonal balance is like crazy. It's like, okay, but deeper than that, and just listening to you and it's just really started sparking some things within me. I have a I have a show, a networking event actually that I'm doing this morning, and I started off this year with the women's networking event dealing with mental health from a female perspective. And because I wanted to set a tone for the year to not go through the year with all this pressure.
Ooh.
Because we as women, we take on undue pressure just because. I mean, it's just kind of like part of our nature. It really is. And to hear you talk about the different women feeling comfortable to share their stories and other women going, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. These are literally natural feelings to have. And I don't have to be judged for feeling what I feel. I think, oh my God, Mandy, I really applaud you because that is so important. It is so very, very important. I say this all the time, our uniqueness is our superpower. The fact that we were created uniquely, individually to be who we are and not to fall in this cookie cutter life that we've been programmed for. And that's exactly what you're saying. And that's what the book is showing that, you're okay. You make your own magic.
That's right. That's right.
You make your own magic. I
Mm.
love that. I
Mm.
love that. So, as you were writing, was
Mm.
this part of a healing process for you as you were thinking about the different transitions you walked through?
I think partly yes. I about a year ago when we actually participated in the anthology
Mm-hmm.
book for Thrive. That was the first time that I'd really started to put my pen to paper with regards to my story, which is a conversation for another day. But um, this was certainly this has started to put it into a very tangible, logical understanding of so many of the decisions and choices that I've made in my life from probably around the age of 5, 6,
Wow.
7 years old,
Wow.
because sometimes with the expectations and pressures that we have, we think that it comes from outside.
Mm.
But because we think that it comes from outside, we end up putting them on ourselves, and
Mm.
then we drown under the pressure that we're putting under on
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I was always a very academic young person, and I was the first grandchild and the oldest daughter and the responsible one and the strong one. And so there was the expectation that I thought was there, which I then compounded on myself again, which became overwhelming. And, we certainly didn't use the language in the 80s that we use now, but if I was that person now, I would say that it would be high functioning ADHD or anxiety, because I put so much pressure
Mm-hmm.
on myself. And the shoulds really come from, and my biggest example of my should is that my first daughter, who is now 25, um, she was an unexpected joy. She was an unexpected joy, and I'm so glad that she's in this world. I don't regret that for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
After I had my first daughter, I then married her dad because that was what we were supposed to do.
The should.
The should.
The should.
And I then had my second daughter. And again, I'm so happy that she's in the world. And if I hadn't have married their dad, then that wouldn't have happened. So there's no regrets with the choices I've made. It's realizing where those choices have come from.
Mm.
Would I turn back time and make different choices? Not in that instance, because those two young women deserve to be in the world, and I'm so glad that they're here.
Mhm.
There are other choices, probably a bit less significant than that, where shoulds have come in that if I'd have had my time again, perhaps I would have
Mhm.
tweaked.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me, writing the book, it was heartbreaking at times, um, because I really had to own a lot of my journey, which I have
Mhm.
owned most of it, as you're well
Mhm.
aware. I'm very,
Mhm.
very open about recovery from addiction and all of those things, and the part that I played in it and the reasons
Mhm.
underneath. Writing it down is a different kind of therapy.
Mhm. Yeah,
It is
it
a
is.
different kind of therapy. And one of the things that for me really shone a light was I've never been great with relationship with men. It's not my forte. It's not my, I choose the wrong men. I chase the Mr. Bigs of the world. Oh, it's just a mess. And
Mm.
as I was writing a lot of the chapters, there's actually a chapter on, the myth of Mr. Big and gaslighting and breadcrumbing and all of the stuff and the anti-fairy tale of Shrekking. And as I was writing it, I couldn't escape the fact that, and as I was having the absolute privilege of writing the stories of the other women, that I needed to make different choices
Mm.
around any kind of romantic entanglement that I may want in the future. And it has certainly made me make some really big mindset shifts with regards to perhaps men from my past who I'd kind of just held on to a little bit for safety, maybe as that was, oh, that was my person, or it was a situationship, or it was a this, or it was a that. Um, and I thought, I cannot, in good faith, write these stories of these women and not follow the path myself and not take heed of
Mhm.
the lessons myself.
Yes.
So it's been quite the journey for me in that perspective.
Yes.
Um, One of the process structures of the book is that with the women who participated at the end of their chapter, so they filled out a questionnaire and then they sent that questionnaire back to me and I wrote the
You wrote
chapter
it.
for them.
Hmm.
And we went backwards and forwards and they had final editorial review on what was printed, and some were like one draft and it was done, and some was like eight or nine backwards and forwards, and I got them to write themselves a letter to their 15-year-old self at the
Oh,
at the end
wow.
of each at the end of their chapter. And the book ends with my letter to my
Mm.
15-year-old self. And that was pretty hard to write. It
Mm.
was pretty hard to write. Um, it's part of the growth though.
Hmm.
And we were talking before we came on around um, the book was published at the end of last year, and at that time I chose to transition into a more balanced freelance approach to my career. So I've been in professional services for um, around 20 years, and I decided that it was time to, I know that this is my purpose, and I know that this
Mhm.
is my direction, and I know that this is where my voice is going to be heard, and I know that this is where I can actually make really big difference
Yeah.
for women. And so I left my executive role and didn't really know what was around the corner.
Mhm.
And I've had so many people say to me, aren't you worried? Aren't you freaking out? Aren't you scared? Why did you do that? The process of writing the book, I just feel calm.
Mhm.
And I think without having written the book, which was obviously the catalyst for the change in career as well, but without having written the book, I wouldn't have felt that calm and contentness within myself and trusting. Because when you go back on your story, when you read back on your story, when you have to put pen to paper, when you have to reflect on what would I say to my 15-year-old self, it's faith and trust and
Mhm.
believing in, again, you and I have talked many, many, many times, and you're always so accommodating, and I'm so thankful around what faith is and what that looks like.
Mhm.
And the book has given me faith.
Wow. I'm a firm believer. I believe this from deep within me that when we really step into our purpose, there is such a peace about it because this is what we were created to be and to do. And because you have experienced life on so many different levels, and the fact that you're transparent enough to share,
Mm.
your purpose is to help other women overcome the fear, which is why you have so much peace, to overcome the fear of stepping out into the unknown, but stepping out into their purpose
That's right.
because they have stayed in the fairy tale too long, and now it's a nightmare and they don't know how to get out.
That's
It's
that's
like,
exactly right, and certainly 15 years ago, I didn't know how to get out. So I blew it up,
mhm.
you know. Um,
But
I'd
it was
like
your
to
way
think
out for
it was
you
my
at
way at
that
the
point in
time.
time. It was your way
It
out.
was
You
my
didn't know
way
what
out.
else to do.
I didn't know what else to do. I'd like to think I would have more finesse if I ever had to do it again.
Be a little different. You might not have to set the dynamite off, but
That's exactly right. So yeah, so it has just such a it's been just such a beautiful experience, and building a community of women where we're stripping back that highlight reel, where we're stripping back the filters, where we're
Mhm.
getting back to this is what normal looks like.
Hmm.
And normal is not a word that I love because there is no one version
Of
of
normalcy.
normal.
Yeah.
There is
What's
not one.
normal for you is not normal for somebody else. I've learned that. It's like,
That's exactly right. So, but in stripping back the highlight reel, in stripping back the Instagram 9 box, in stripping back the filters and the perfectly curated life and the
mhm,
as all of the color coded aesthetics. And I've said for years and years and years, my life has not gone in a straight line. It goes like this, and it goes around and around and around, and then it chucks you out the back, and then you start again in a completely different direction. And I always thought I was a bit unique in that. No, no. Every single woman that I approached, again, to be abundantly clear, I had no idea of the stories underneath these women. None. Not a one. I just needed content for my book. That was my driver. And the stories that came out when women felt safe and heard and held are unbelievable, and they are real, and they are raw, and they are funny, and they are heartbreaking, and they are tearful, and it's it's real. It's life, and it's taking the lid off this curated perfection that for centuries has been sitting underneath, that we think that we need to have. Now, having worked in professional services on and off for 20 years, one would think that you would see young women living the lives that they want to live, and going for the career path, or doing this or doing that, or whatever it is that they want. I see the same thing on repeat. I should be getting married by now. I should be having children by now. I I should have bought a house by now. But if I'm buying a house, then it really should be in the right suburb. It can't be all the way out here, which means that I need to work more. So I should be hiring my job by now. I should go to the gym every day. But if I go to the gym every day, then I should be wearing these clothes because everybody else wears these clothes. I should be going to Pilates 5 times a week because everyone says Pilates is the new, whatever it is. And I should be doing this. I should. And the anxiety and the overwhelm and the pressure is beyond. It is absolutely beyond. And I think they think I'm some sort of, I don't know what they think, because here's me living on my own, 2,000 kilometers away from my hometown, studying my third degree, living with my dog, getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, going for a walk, being on late at night with beautiful friends that I've made from all over the world, and they don't see that as normal. And
but
it's
it's your
not
normal.
normal, but it's
It's
my normal,
your normal.
and
It's
that's
your normal.
okay. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You think about you had eight beautiful women willing to share.
Mm,
Think about the millions that have not been willing to share and
that's
are
right.
living in these gilded cages
Mm,
because they followed the prescribed order that they were told this is what they needed to do. This is
mm,
what they should do.
mm,
And now it's like they look around and they literally don't even know who they are.
That's right.
They don't even know who they are. My purpose is identity and helping people understand who they truly are within, you know, from a spiritual perspective and from a natural perspective, because we wear so many masks. And that's what happens when you prescribe to the fairy tale and you do the shoulds and you put on this mask and you keep putting layers and layers and layers on the mask to accommodate, well, okay, so now you're 35, so you should do this. And now you're 40, so you should do this. And now you're 50. Well, my husband's not looking at me like he used to, so I need to go do this. Okay. I need to do all these cosmetic surgeries. I need to get Botox. I need to do all of this so that he finds me interesting. Well, baby, if he don't find you interesting just in who you are, he's not the one that needs to be there. Let him go. Okay. But you know me.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
it's, let me
Look,
stop.
we are should sisters. We are all over the shoulds.
You
So
know, um, but it's so sad until somebody does something like what you've done with the book. And I really, really want to tell all of you lionesses, please get the book. Even if you feel like you're happy and you're in your fairy tale, please get the book so that you can understand from different perspectives. It's not to blow up your fairy tale, it's just so that you're not living in unrealistic expectations. Because it may be a fairy tale now, but one day the honeymoon may not be as sweet.
and two other things that keep coming back into my mind that I really want to talk about is out of the 8 women that participated in the book, they range from the age of 28 up to 65.
Wow.
So it's not just a
Yeah.
Generation X or a midlife.
Hmm.
Um, it is quite the gamut of experiences,
Hmm.
which one of the young women, I've known her since she was 17,
Mm.
and she's now in her early 30s, and she
Mm.
shared her story. And again, I had no idea of the story underneath. Um, one of the other ladies who participated anonymously is in her mid 60s, and when you look at this beautifully coiffed woman who looks to have a perfectly fairy tale life. She's very well off. She lives on the harbour with harbour views in Sydney. She had a wedding at the Opera House
Mm.
that, was spectacular.
Mhm.
And you read her story and nobody would know what was underneath. And what that does for me, and I hope that it does for every person who reads this book. And this book is bigger than me, it's bigger
Mm.
than you. I've accidentally stumbled onto something that I think is going to make a really big impact in the
Absolutely.
world to both men and women.
Yes.
Is that please remember to be kind. We don't know what on earth
Mm.
is going on underneath.
So true.
We
So
don't
true.
know what on earth is going on underneath. And if I go back to the generation conversation, my mum was recently visiting me here in Brisbane, and my cousin had ordered the book. He got the book before I did, the physical copy, and so I had to borrow it off my cousin so my mum could read it.
Read it.
And I was a bit worried, obviously. We worry what our parents think, and there was some pretty deep stuff in there. And although I had made sure that my mama had read any of the chapters that could potentially put her a bit off kilter because I didn't want to put her in a position of being blindsided when she read the book. Um, she read the book from front to back, and it took her about a day and a bit.
She was into the book.
She was into the book, and she said, I wish I had had something like this when I was in my 20s. And I
Oh,
said, are you just saying that because you're my mom?
That is such a
And she said
compliment, though.
no.
That's
And
so
I thought, isn't
sweet.
that just, it just
Wow.
shows that it's not a message for midlife women or young
Right.
women or older
Right.
generations. It really does have the power to touch all women. And talking of my cousin, who, was the first person in Australia to get the hard copy of the book, God love him. He said, I sat down and I read it in 3 hours from front to back. And he said, I'm so sorry, Mandy. And I said, why? And he said, because it took you 6 months to write it and I couldn't put it down. I was finished in 3 hours. I felt like I needed to give it more attention.
Aw.
And he's got a 17-year-old daughter.
Mm.
And it triggered conversations in their home. So it's not just for women.
I um I believe this, and our time is running out. We got 4 minutes left, but I firmly believe that a book of this caliber helps you to recalibrate your thought process. Like my marriage was anything but a fairy tale, but it was perfectly created and curated for us.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? With the ups, the downs, the ins and outs,
Yeah,
the divorce, the remarry, the
down the backwards and
separations,
forwards,
and
around the back, all of that.
all of that.
Yeah.
But in the end, at the end, it was perfect for us.
Mm,
And so the key is, like you said, this is not a bashment or bash relationship or anything like that. But what it will do is to help you understand that in any relationship, in any lifetime, there's going to be ebbs and flows, and
that's
you
right.
learn to process through them. And
That's right.
never judge a book by its cover. Never be
Ever, ever,
outside
ever.
looking at somebody's life thinking, oh my God, it's wonderful and mine sucks. And no, boo boo. Okay. Because you have no idea what's happening behind closed doors. So give people grace. Have
Mm,
some grace. Maybe they're having a bad day today because it's hell at home and you don't even know because
mm,
you think it's so perfectly curated. Okay. Learn to give people grace and allow them to be who they are. Stop
mm,
putting the pressure on them to be something that they're not.
mm,
That's really, really important. You've got 2.5 minutes. Where can they get the book? How can they get in touch with you? How
mm,
can they join your coaching program? All of that.
mm. So, the book is on Amazon. Very, very easy. The book is on Amazon. It's called Fuck the Fairy Tale, Find Your Own Magic. You can find me at mandymerrifield.org. You can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Mandy Merrifield. So it's very, very easy to find me. I've just created a Substack account actually because one of the things that I keep hearing from people as they're reading the book is I wanted more of these real stories.
Mm.
So not massive chapters, but almost short, long form articles where I'm now giving just again normal, ordinary, everyday women the ability to have a reflective narrative. And I give them a topic. It could be the strong one or finding my voice or so the Substack again, just Mandy Merrifield, very, very simple. You can subscribe to that for free. That's probably the easiest way to become part of the community at this point while I'm trying to work out what to do next. Obviously, my next book is in the works. Um, with regards to building programs and coaching and all of that kind of thing, because I'm a coach that is, excuse my language, I am not a bullshit coach. I don't do coach speak. I am real. You will get lots of love, but you will get a mirror in your face. The best way to work with me at the moment is just one-on-one. So you can just contact me on my website and we can start the conversation. It's not wrong or right or up or down. I don't at this stage offer long form, large container coaching programs because I often find that when people come to me, we spend a couple of hours. It's almost like a doctor's appointment. We
Mhm.
spend a couple of hours, go through what's happening for them, have some guidance, ask some really deep questions, get some stuff sorted out, and off they go again. Now they might want to come back in 3 months' time or 6 months' time for a top up.
Mhm.
And that's kind of more how I work from a coaching perspective, because that's what aligns for me, and that's what I find works with the women that I work with. So jump onto the website, jump onto the Substack, um, and just get in contact or follow me on Facebook and watch my stuff. Or in Instagram, I'm not so great with Instagram. I'm definitely more of a Facebooker and a LinkedIn. But that's where you can find me. And the book is on Amazon. It's on, you can get a Kindle, you can get a paperback or a hardback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mandy. This has been phenomenal. And I know that it's been very, very valuable for the Lionesses. And I'm just so proud of you because you
Oh,
have
thank
just like
you.
just blossomed in such beautiful ways. So I'm grateful. Thank you for agreeing to
Great.
share with my Lionesses. I appreciate you. All right, ladies, that's it for today. Have an incredible week. Lord willing, we will see you next week. God bless.